Other forms of money in our car by the back Ghanatube, my money is a Ghanatube, the young to one near the breaking news in Bremo Samus Munya son. Namunti and Amonsha dear Cosso, our Ghana to the 4. Obeka is 11 deportees for no. And I just say, your boy movie America at the buyer Ghana, I say West African for no. HS and Seminole Ideja, our Ghana, as your must say. Eye abino John Dramani Mahama na abino. Chese omediteni omu against their what? Their human rights. Ekwaya yodi omu faso no di omu se omeni nje hu. Iti isi amena okasa no omu di aban no akọ court man sem no ayedeja. Mu aye deport mu achese Ghana aban no aye mu favor no. Sisi ano mu di aban akọ court. Odofo mu manko na yonkoje san nsem wo nyina nchiremu ekwaya asankofo we omodi Ghana ban no kopie mu court tisi amena okasa no yesi ejebo eja enya babedu ya sanso a transfer mu nyina dia call back to omanso mu home country dofo mumanko ne enkotie nsem a ekoso court on emra isia.
Right now, let's talk about those U.S. deportees, because the 11 West African nationals who filed illegal action against the Ghanaian government have been deported to their home countries, and lawyers have told the Accra High Court. The 11 nationals, comprising 4 Nigerians, 3 Togolese, 2 Malians, and 1 Gambian, and a Liberian, were seeking the enforcement of their human rights, arguing that they were being detained in Ghana against their will. They also filed an injunction against their repatriation and another order compelling the government to produce them before a court. Lead counsel for the deportees, Oliver Bakavomo, indicated that his clients had been deported over the weekend, a situation which therefore compelled him to withdraw the suit since it had become moot. Oliver is joining us for a bit more on this story. Oliver, I appreciate your time with us this afternoon, but did you see this coming?
Absolutely, we saw this coming. This is one of our frustrations about our justice system and our legal system in more general. Unfortunately, I think that this is a matter of huge international interest, and that we haven't put up the best display for the world in this. I think that the whole question of the deportees, the manner in which this whole matter is being treated, is undermining people's perception of whether or not this is a country on which rule of law acts and whether or not this is a democracy. And we are for one disappointed by how this works. So let me remind you that we were instructed on Wednesday last week when we got this, and we filed processes on that Wednesday. The court registry then fixed the matter for Thursday because of the urgency of the matter. When we appeared before the court, we impressed on the court that there's a real risk that the persons were going to be deported, and that the court needed to intervene. The court was asking that a habeas corpus application, which is that the government was holding the people unconstitutionally, should be brought on notice, meaning that it would take at least 2 weeks or so before we are able to appear before a court. And we were saying that, it's infeasible, that's a matter of urgency, that our justice system cannot have a mechanism by which these things can be heard urgently. The court decided to adjourn the matter to today, which is Tuesday because of the holiday there. Again, we asked for confirmation and information for the judge to make a temporary order that will prevent Ghana from deporting the individuals concerned within the 3 days. The court refused again. And so today when we appeared before court, it's clear that everything that we could have done on our part as lawyers we have done, and that if Ghana has removed them, I think this is not what the court desired, then well, this is what has procured. But whatever the case may be, I think that we have to be mindful as a republic as to what we are holding on as these are the principles by which we want to live by. Clearly, the Constitution doesn't seem to be one of them, and for us, we are disappointed in the turn of events.
You think that it was intentional?
I can't speculate as far, but I can tell you that it was reckless not to have an order in place that prevents the government from doing what it has done. And if the government was aware that this court process was going on and still went ahead and deported them, clearly this was done to circumvent and deprive the court of jurisdiction on the matter.
For the Ghanaian people who would not understand why this should be a case of importance, how do you explain this to them?
You see, the government is relying on a new legal theory where they are saying that because of the ECOWAS protocol that allows free movement of citizens, that they are entitled to accept deportees, which by extension then extradition of persons from other African countries into Ghana, despite the fact that there was U.S. court preventing the removal of these people. Our argument is that the ECOWAS protocol allows for voluntary movement of ECOWAS citizens. It is not a repatriation or deportation agreement. So the effect of this is that Mauritania can then decide to receive Ghanaian nationals on deportation if the persons have protections from the U.S. court from being removed. And if Mauritania then receives them, it can decide then to hold the people in custody, as Ghana did without sending them before a court for many weeks. This is dangerous. And this is not something this is affect all of us as ECOWAS citizens. So it might be easy to look at this matter and say, oh, this is a bunch of Nigerians, Gambians, Togolese, Niger, and Benin, and doesn't affect us. But our government has acted so recklessly that it is putting the human rights of all West African citizens, Ghanaian citizens included, in jeopardy. But beyond that, the government, we are told by the Foreign Minister that the Attorney General advised the Cabinet that this is not an agreement that needs to be ratified by Parliament. Again, we are deliberately circumventing the constitutional procedures by which the executive can get into this kind of arrangement. We had hoped that we had learned from our experiences from Gitmo 2, but we are back here again, where the executive has gone to sign a secret agreement, the content of which the Ghanaian public does not know, and our elected representatives have not been able to have the chance to peruse and agree to. So we have a secret arrangement where the government is now repatriating individuals to countries where they are fearful of being persecuted. Then, in addition to that, before the U.S. court, the U.S. authorities said that that agreement they signed with Ghana prevented Ghana from repatriating the individuals in the way in which it did. So clearly, there's a lot of information that we don't know yet in all of this. And I think the government owes us much more. But clearly, when you know that the government came out to claim that all the individuals brought into Ghana had already been repatriated, when in fact they were still being held in a military camp. That's in addition to the fact that civilians were being held in military facilities, again against our constitutional law. And since the case of Issa Mobila, who died in military custody, it has been clear from our courts that we do not countenance the holding of civilians in military facilities. So in everything that has been done here, I see consistent impeachable offenses that have been committed against our not only international law but also Ghanaian constitution.
I see. And while we still wait on our government to tell us why they are party to this agreement with the U.S., we still hear that a few more people will be coming into the country. I want to know what you think about that, the fact that we are still expecting more.
In fact, on Friday, 14 more were landed into the country. We know that those 14 were transferred to Budasi military facility as well. You know? And so this is ongoing, and I think that the Ghanaian public has a right to know what the government is engaging itself in. And at least Parliament must be interested in investing what they are doing. I see the statement of the minority by the ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, and it's a statement I endorse, that the executive in the constitutional republic does not have the power to enter in this kind of agreement and violate our laws. Even if, the question of whether or not we should be receiving migrants in the first place, I know it's a divisive political issue. But all I'm interested in is whether or not our government is acting constitutionally. And in this case, I'm sorry, they are not.
Oliver, that's all the time we have for this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. Oliver Baka-Vormawo is a legal practitioner. He was representing those 11 ECOWAS nationals who were deported from the U.S. to Ghana, now repatriated to their country. As a result, he's withdrawn the suit in court. Now, let's stay on the presidency, because President John Mahama has urged African leaders to invest in healthcare systems as a critical driver of development and sovereignty. Speaking at a high-level meeting of the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in New York, President Mahama warned that the continent's future depends on investing in stronger health systems.
Other four when breaking news I be told you just say US for nkofo no mu deport Africans for no mu deport no Ghana for eso nipa ba ko 11 na chese kwanya de force so e wo Ghana ase no mo so omeni nje ho enti no mekuku case no e de akọ court na lawyer okojina court o defend omo eye Oliver Bakavomawo ono enoko defend omo wo eye court na yesi sisi amena okasa no sa ankofo no ya sanso deport omo nyina back to their home counties odofo we na breaking news abeto do yesi ekwan ya Ghana fo ade omo fa aso ne de eye very dangerous pa because yensu Ghana fo nso ne yeso ye other countries a ombetumi aye the same thing enti yenhwe ye niam yi odofo we ene ensem aye deja abeto do am so bi ni nyina brew e wo Ghana to the form refi say boba like no ma subscribe no ma share no ma hit notification bell so ma send e be a abrini abibia do content say ya wo wonya ne tempa no atwe no wetem odofo aha ana meden 7 nyina besi e wo Ghanatube so makra mu nyina beda mu nyina se bebre